Hi, my name is Steve Wozniak, and you're watching MobuzzTV.
So, how do you like Spain?
How do I like Spain? I have friends that have lived here and been visiting the last few years, and it's one of those hot spots in the world, kind of like Prague, and then it was Spain, and excellent reports. I've never been here myself, so it's quite a thrill.
So we're here at the conference for the internet and teaching, or education, and one of the questions I have for you is, what do you think are the barriers at the moment for technology in education?
I have experience having taught young kids from 10 years old on up and teaching teachers for 8 years of my life. I didn't let the press in on it. And boy, the teacher training is so critical. Now, companies like Apple and others recognize that if you're going to sell a lot of computers into schools, maybe one per student, the school districts have got to have enough training for the teachers. And we talk about internet literacy. And the trouble is, a lot of times it'll be 1 day or 2 days of courses. I don't know, but I don't know if that's enough, because I used to teach teachers, and I would teach 200 hours a year, over and over and over little aspects. Because if you bring the teachers' level up, they'll force the students to perform at that level that they know is possible. One thing I found was, one year I used a very simple computer that was more like a PDA with a keyboard, and the teacher understood it that year. They never sat in my classes the other years like the students did. They understood it, so that those teachers used it every day in class, and they would beam assignments to the kids. The kids would turn around and beam them to other kids, and they would take over and beam them on the printers. And they really got used in the class that year. So it's very important that the teacher be somewhere at the level close to the students.
What device do you always carry around with you all the time?
Yeah, my favorite device, probably a favorite gadget of my life too, is my laptop, and I have the high-end, bigger screen MacBook Pro, it's called, from Apple. Now, I carry an iPhone, but there's limits. You sit there sometimes working on it and say, you know what, I'll wait a little while till I get near the good keyboard. My fingers are larger and I'm older. I like the big screen. I don't have to manipulate it around so much.
But is the iPhone or some of the other mobile phones, are those personal computers as well or not? Do you think that those are personal computers nowadays?
I think it's so close to being a personal computer, but not quite. There are limitations put on by the manufacturers in a lot of cases, but I think some of the iPhones are going to turn out to be, it's a great development environment. Look at all the people that are writing web apps and now actual real apps on the iPhone, and Android's coming along, and some of these other phones are now opening up. So it's just so fun. All the people who used to write for computers? Games. Are going to write their games on here. And people who write data collection programs for companies, and superintendents keep track of where the students are, what class they're supposed to be in now, what allergies they have. So a lot of these little applications are going to fit the small devices very well. Yeah.
You talked about gaming, and what for you is one of the most significant developments in the gaming industry in the last few years?
Well, I started out in the computer design. The Apple II was like the whole start of computer gaming and led to a lot of it. But eventually I had my own children, and they were so much better at the modern games that I kind of stayed to the simple puzzle type games myself. Even little card games and that on the computer. I don't, so I watch the kids, and they're creating these incredible worlds. They put so much time and energy into it. And I used to create electronic things that I would, work on for months and build and make something. And these kids are building their own, RPG type worlds, the worlds, and getting their defenses up, and they're spending weeks on it, and sometimes even years, and accumulating, going through some of the games that are online. It's just incredible. And the number of people that you'll be online with, playing the same game.
Is that maybe a thing that this new generation is going to be able to accept more, is the virtual space and the virtual learning rather than the real learning? What do you see as far as that?
Well, of course, now that we have the virtual space and the virtual learning, some of that's going to be taken, be used. I don't know if it's going to take over and become like close to 100%. I don't think that. I think there's room for other types of learning, just like there's room for other types of games too. But it's just possibility. It's one of the alternatives now. And you know what? Some people will learn better that way than they learn in the more realistic, non-virtual world. But if a computer could ever be programmed enough to be like a teacher? Well, one of the things is, like, other people are starting to talk about this, but I've been talking for some time. Recognize the student's facial expressions. Know when to change the subject. Know what tone of voice to use. That sort of thing that a human being does. We don't really have programs, so we've really not made very much progress in the areas of artificial intelligence, of a machine seeming to be like a human. Well, I think we'll never get there. I don't think we'll ever have a robot that can make a cup of coffee. I mean, walk into a house, and you could walk into my house and you could maybe make a cup of coffee. But I think that robot would have had to go through all the learning you've gone through in your life of how to hold things, how to search what is a kitchen, what is a coffee machine. It's so many tasks that it's hard to imagine one person doing it unless some young person, maybe 16 years old, decides it's going to be the goal of his life. And that might be the person that does it.
Hey, Steve, thanks a lot. It's been a real pleasure, and if you don't mind, could I get a quick picture with you?
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. So, that was really great, that interview. Now, if you want to find out more about Steve Wozniak, or, you know, Woz or I Was, check out his new book, I Was. He talks about, you know, the early days at Apple, what he's up to, and it was really a great read. You can also check more about him at iwas.org or woz.org. I've been Gabe Mack. This is MoBuzz. Have a great weekend.